Welcome back to Thone's Nibbles. Number 74 now. Comes from John chapter 6, Bread from Heaven. The reading comes from John 6, verses 34 through 41. Then they said to him, Lord, give us this bread always. And Jesus said to them, I am the bread of life. He who comes to me shall never hunger, and he who believes in me shall never thirst. But I said to you that you have seen me, and yet do not believe. All that the Father gives me will come for me. And the one who comes to me, I will by no means cast out. For I have come down from heaven, not to do my own will, but the will of him who sent me. This is the will of the Father who sent me, that of all he has given me, I should lose nothing, but should raise it up at the last day. And this is the will of him who sent me, that everyone who sees the Son and believes in him may have everlasting life, and I will raise him up at the last day. The Jews then complained about him, because he said, I am the bread which came down from heaven. Okay, this contrast that we're going to be seeing here is physical bread versus spiritual bread. Why is this in the Bible? To explain the difference between short-term physical desires and forever spiritual privileges. And that was a careful choice of words I've put there. Short-term physical desires. This can be good desires. I would like to eat before I work the rest of the day, or I need healing either spiritually or physically before I can lift that large sofa. Those are good desires, short-term desires. A poor short-term desire would be, Lord, I'm lusting after my neighbor's wife. Can I figure out a way to consume that lust? And so on. So there are physical desires, and they can be good and bad. And then there are forever spiritual privileges. And I want to, first of all, talk about privileges in that if it was what we were given spiritually was a trade, if you work for me for the next 3 years, then I'll see to it that you get a new car. Then that's again a difficult kind of salvation by works, ongoing even after we have been saved. We are truly saved, but now we're going to act like that we're saved because of works rather than because of the gift that he gave us. So it's a privilege. We get a privilege because we have accepted Jesus' offer of eternal salvation. Then, of course, the biggest privilege is eternal life. But there are other privileges as well. And, that is, we get to see all our loved ones that are in heaven again. We get to walk down the road with Moses or talk to David, or there are many privileges involved in a salvation experience, and therefore forever spiritual privileges. we can either get short-term desires, and I say, I really need a hamburger before I can teach more of this class. That's a physical desire which we are likely to have satisfied, and if we are honest with ourselves, maybe we really did need some sustenance before we went on with what we're doing. However, that's nothing compared to the forever spiritual privileges that God gives us. It's written to the crowd looking for more bread. The day before, if you remember, Jesus had fed the 5,000 men plus women and children with bread, because they had been out in the sort of the wilderness for a lengthy period of time listening to him preach, and he knew that they were hungry, and so he fed them with real bread, which he manufactured supernaturally from, 7 loaves and 2 fishes, or some such number. I forget. There was just 2 stories. I forget which is which. But he made this bread and fed them, and they must have really liked being fed. Because they went out of their way. Later he went, his people went across the lake, and then he walked on water and went across the lake. There's a lot of things that happened, but they either jumped in boats and went across the lake too, or those who didn't have boats. This was kind of near the end of the entry point of the sea, so they were able to walk around. Just having to wade basically a small river to get to the same place where he went, and so they were looking for more bread. The communication was that the Lord can provide all our needs, and that's this is just one of many examples of that particular communication within the Bible. Application to my life. We must truly understand and believe in Jesus to be saved. And that's the point. We have to understand. We have to first believe that he can save us, and then we have to truly understand that this is not that the thing that we were about to embark on is not something we can do by ourselves. It's not something that we do by works. It's something that the salvation which he offered us provides instantaneously. So we have to understand as well as believe that you can be saved. God says to me, believe in the bread of life. See, Jesus talks about here the bread of life, and this bread of life is what he provides. Not the physical stuff that you chew, but the rightness in your heart, and the rightness in your mind, and the rightness in your soul about him. He feeds us those areas, not our stomach, okay? My personal response, Lord, provide for our spiritual hunger and thirst. And that's all we need to ask for. I mean, we can get very elaborate and very long-winded about this, but the fact is that once, a saved person, we just ask God, hey, teach me. That's what we're really saying, is teach me. And our spiritual hunger, that is where our connection with our spirit with God will be strengthened, and our thirst for information will be strengthened. And that's what the bread of life, and actually in the previous lesson that we did, the previous Nibble 73, we talk about the spiritual water also, and that's exactly what we need to respond to and ask the Lord for, not for some fancy food or some fancy drink, but rather for what He provides immediately and willingly, and that is to satisfy our spiritual hunger and thirst. So we'll talk to you next time.